Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick. Have a new tornado warning, and we're going to likely see more of these as the evening goes on. This is going to be for Butts, Henry, Newton, and Spalding counties, moving right into the Jackson area. And we do have some significant weather moving into Monroe County toward the Forsyth area here in the next half hour to 45 minutes. This is all going to move toward Monticello as well. Let's jump right into this tornado warning, Ryan. And I see pink here, so that tells me that it's a confirmed tornado on the ground heading toward Jackson right now. Go ahead and throw up velocity data. Let's show you where the couplet is. And this is something that we don't like to see when we throw up the Doppler winds. Very significant wind. You can see on the key behind me, the darker browns almost starting to show up, indicating some very strong wind away. And then the brighter greens going into the storm, and that is where the area of circulation is going to be. This is going to head up toward the Locust Grove area right now, but another couplet right about here, moving toward the Jackson area. So this storm kind of has a northeast track to it, but it doesn't mean it can't cycle and develop a new mesocyclone on the south side of the storm, and that's why we have this tornado warning for Butts, Henry, Spalding, and Newton County. Go ahead and show up our shear tracker, Ryan. There's the area of shear. And now let's just jump right into the debris tracker. Now this storm has been confirmed producing a tornado moving through the Griffin area. And this is going to move up through Walker Mill and then eventually cross state line, county line into Butts County, moving right toward Jackson, Jenkinsburg. Here's 75, so this is going to be crossing over 75 very shortly. If you have folks that you know that are commuting from Atlanta to Middle Georgia, right now, you need to tell them to stay off of 75 because there's going to be likely debris and damage done through the I-75 corridor as we look at that debris tracker. Even if it's not producing new debris, we are going to see debris kind of thrown across 75. So here's England Chapel Road. As the storm crosses into Butts County, it is likely going to be doing some damage as it continues to move off to the east. Ryan, go ahead and pan to the right a little bit, and let's put a track on this ETA for Jackson as that storm moves northeast at 50 miles per hour.
I think
confirmed tornado.
It is moving at 65 miles per hour.
Okay, so update.
So let me update that. Yes.
New update. So this is moving incredibly fast. So even if there wasn't a tornado on the ground, the storm moving at 65 miles an hour is going to be in Jackson in about 6 minutes. So if it turns to the right a little bit, moves through the Jackson area, it will be there in 6 minutes. So if you're in Jackson, if you're in Butts County, you need to get to that interior room of your house, away from windows and doors, and get to that interior room of your house immediately as the storm continues to push off to the east. Before we get too far into the weeds with this, Stark at 446, that's going to be tracking your way. Let's zoom out, Ryan, and let's kind of set the stage and show you what's coming into Middle Georgia for all the folks tuning in. You're probably going to see a lot of us over the next couple of hours as this line of storms come in. So we have 1, 2, 3 severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado possible tags on that. So that includes Thomaston. This is eventually going to include Roberta, eventually going to include Forsyth here very shortly. Tornado warning does go until 5:15 for Butts, Henry, Newton, and Spalding counties, and that is a confirmed tornado on the ground and is going to continue to move off to the east as we go through the remainder of the evening. Already had one tornado warning in Macon-Bibb, and this line of storms is going to move right in our direction. Ryan, let's go over to you for a little quick update on this, and let me know what you're seeing in chat.
Yeah, thanks so much, Eric. There hasn't been any updates quite yet, but they're keeping a close eye on it. We all are keeping a very close eye. The tornado warning for our area is in Butts County right now. Let's go back to the relative velocities. What we really want to see here is you want to see the bright greens right next to the bright reds here. So looking very close, especially at this area specifically. Here's the bright green and here's the bright reds. That's showing that there could be rotation that's possible in the atmosphere. Headed right towards Wolf Creek Road, just north of Jenkinsburg. and for England Chapel Road as well, just south of Locust Grove. This is moving up into the northeast for right now. That's one area that we're really keeping an eye on. And this has confirmed to be on the ground. It may still be on the ground. Here's our shear tracker. This is usually what we want to see. We want to see like a ball of things. Usually when we see something like this means that could be a tornado lifting things into the atmosphere. It looks like there's a pretty good signature on the debris tracker. Again, this is moving to the northeast, right towards Jenkinsburg, towards Route 23, over towards Jackson as well. Looks to have just passed over I-75 as well. Let me see if there's any new updates. There has not been any new updates quite yet. That's what we're keeping a close eye on. This is the shear tracker. It is a little behind, but these greens, that's showing that the rotation and the shear in the atmosphere, the different directions of the winds and the speeds. And this does have a pink for the thunderstorm or for the tornado warning, meaning that it's pretty significant for us, that we're keeping a very, very close eye on once again. And this goes until 5:15 p.m., moving rapidly up to the northeast at 65 miles per hour. So tracking this out, we can do that again. So we're keeping an eye really close on this rotation right here. We got the bright greens right next to the bright reds, heading towards Old Jackson Road, Wolf Creek Road as well, moving over to the northeast. So tracking it out for the next 20 minutes or so as I time this out. Go up to the northeast. It is moving quite quickly. So here's the next 15 minutes, heading up towards Worthville at 4:47, Fincherville at 4:47, moving quickly up to the north and east with the storm that we've been keeping a very close eye on. Is a very strong storm that is moving on through. Still no new updates at this time. Let's go back to this debris tracker. All right, in the last minute or so, it looks like it has cooled down a little bit if there was anything being lofted into the atmosphere, which is a good sign, but we're still seeing that really strong rotation that is in the atmosphere here still. So here's that shear tracker once again, a little bit behind, but still seeing a lot of the rotation here. Still moving towards Jenkinsburg, up to the north and east, heading towards Stark as well. Route 23, State Route 36, that's moving here. And this tornado warning isn't in effect until 5:15 p.m., moving very quickly to the north and east for us right now.
You can send it back.
Yeah, okay. Eric, you'll take it.
All right. Thanks for that, Ryan. Busy afternoon, busy evening.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty busy.
Ahead. We had confirmed tornadoes near Atlanta, near LaGrange, into Griffin, and this storm has been producing tornadoes to the west, moving through the Noonan area, back toward LaGrange, into Griffin as well. So let's go ahead and put a loop. We'll go to velocity and kind of show where this is headed. And you can keep it a little bit wide. But this is going to move. So this moved through Griffin.
15 minutes or so.
Yeah, go back. You can just scroll at the top there with the little red
Right.
toggle. There you go. So this is moving from Griffin up through Locust Grove and eventually going to continue off to the north and east. So this is going to pass to the north of Jackson, but this is right on our county line, and we want to give people as much of a heads up as possible before this storm continues off to the east. So go ahead and zoom out, and we'll put a track on this and show you where this is headed. So this is going to be moving through Locust Grove and just north of Jackson. Now, Jackson, you're not in the clear. You're in this tornado warning. Stay hunkered down. Not giving you the all clear yet, but the area of circulation that we are kind of tracking is just off to the north of Jackson at this point. Doesn't mean we can't see a new area of circulation pop up or a new this take a little bit of a right turn. So Worthville at 450, Stewart at 454. Let's go wide, Ryan, and we'll include Monticello and up toward Eatonton on this graphic as well. So at its current track, north of Jackson, this is likely going to pass north of Monticello. At its current track, I say that because as these storms strengthen and kind of evolve, they can kind of do whatever they want to do. If the storm's big enough and strong enough, the stuff steering it could be weaker, and that means the storm could make a little bit of a right-hand turn. But this is going to be moving right through Jackson and Butts County as we go through the next little bit. Again, keep in mind, 65 miles per hour storm motion. So think about how far you travel on the expressway going 65 miles per hour, and this is likely doing damage as it does so. Can we check with Georgia DOT, Andrew? See if there's any reports of damage or debris on 75 from this storm as it crossed over.
I don't see anything in the chat specifically, but
I'm looking at our radar, velocity data from the radar in Jeffersonville. So slide to the right a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at that couplet. Go ahead and query that and show what that gate-to-gate shear is. This is the area of circulation. So this is going to be.
That did not work.
You got to click right on that. All right. But that is the area that we are concerned with. That is where we're going to see that gate-to-gate shear. And again, this is from Jefferson radar. So it's up at a couple thousand feet into the atmosphere. Strong mesocyclone in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. And then if we switch back to this one, this is much closer to the radar. So this is going to be lower in elevation and showing where that broad area of circulation is. So there's your gate-to-gate shear at 50 miles an hour. Popping up, and this storm has been cycling, strengthening on and off for the last couple of hours as it moved from Alabama into Georgia and now moving through Locust Grove and into Butts County. And it's had this history where it'll look like it's weakening a little bit and then will strengthen back up and produce some damage. So as Ryan showed with the debris tracker, go ahead and pop that up.
It was pretty significant a few minutes ago when I was chatting, but it looks to be.
Yeah, go ahead and zoom out a little bit and we'll track this debris signature and kind of show you what we're talking about. You can zoom out a little bit more, right through the Griffin area. So right when this warning was issued, there's debris being popped up. And it almost looks like it's over here at this point. Play this out a little bit. Yeah, there it is. So that was the debris signature that we were looking at. So go back a little bit now. Okay, so we had a tornado move through Griffin. That was the first tornado debris signature. And then likely saw another tornado develop on the south side of that. And that's why the National Weather Service did issue that tornado warning, really for both of those areas of circulation. Let's throw velocity data on here and do that. There's that area of circulation on the north side. And just go back, yeah. So we had two areas of circulation moving through the Griffin area. That one, go back a few steps. Mm-hmm. So this one did produce that tornado debris signature. And this is the bigger, stronger mesocyclone. And watch what happens as this moves toward Locust Grove. It just kind of gets sucked up into that parent supercell and enhances that shear and that rotation with this storm just to the north of Jackson and moving at 65 miles an hour. So pretty incredible to see that on velocity data. Incredible in a bad way. Definitely don't like to see it. So let's just kind of go over the whole big picture now. And keep in mind, we're going to start the news here in 13 minutes. So apologize for breaking into Family Feud, but we do have a couple different areas with tornado warnings right now. This was in Hancock County, and this was issued right on the county line moving into the Augusta market. But this is the storm that we've been watching really all the way back through the Grange into Griffin, cycling, producing new areas of circulation, new mesocyclone. But if you're in Forsyth right now, go ahead and zoom in on Monroe County. And we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. That is for this storm. This is likely going to be extended into Round Oak, Gray, Bolingbroke. I don't think you'll be in that next warning unless they just decide to do it on the whole line, which is possible. So this expires at 5:15. These storms are going to be out of here in the next couple of minutes with the storm motion of that. So incredibly fast moving storms tapping into an environment that is favorable for some rotation and the development of severe storms. So very quick moving system and still showing a ton of shear up into Butts County. trying to pop up the information on that. So the line of storms is moving at 45 miles per hour. And that is going to be what's moving into Monticello and Forsyth. But this tornado warning was on that area of circulation moving at 65 miles per hour. And that tornado warning will go until 5:15. But again, I think that's going to outrun that watch box as well. Throw up velocity data again on here, Ryan.
Oh, wow. Yes, it has moved.
So this is, only a couple of miles from the edge of that tornado warning. Okay, so they went with a severe thunderstorm warning with this. And go ahead and zoom out, and we'll throw the new severe thunderstorm warning graphic on it. So Forsyth, you are included in that severe thunderstorm warning, and that's going to be for the line of storms moving off to the north and east. This goes until 5:15. So the new warning that they just issued was for 5:15, and that's because these storms are moving so quickly. But that area of circulation right on the Butts County line will likely outrun that tornado warning polygon and continue to move off to the north and east. We're going to see this line of storms come through. One thing that I've been trying to figure out in forecasting this is the storms that we have this afternoon in Macon-Bibb County going to do enough to help cut down our severe weather threat for the rest of the evening. And based on radar trends and how this is becoming more east-west oriented, and we have one storm that is producing the significant severe weather right now. Essentially, it's a line of storms, but one area embedded in that line, that's going to move through Monticello up toward Eatonton, and then eventually into Milledgeville and Sparta. So planning this out through the rest of the evening, Ryan, go ahead and zoom out, and we'll put this, align that warning all the way on the left side. And there you go. And then pan this out moving through Sparta and Sandersville, just that severe thunderstorm warning that they just issued. And we'll see how long it's going to take. I mean, moving at 45 miles an hour, moving pretty much due east toward Augusta. So in an hour, it's going to be moving through the Sparta area and down through Sandersville, the line as a whole. So these storms are moving incredibly, incredibly fast with that as it continues to move off to the east. Okay, just a reissuance of that warning. So watching these storms, and Ryan, let's go ahead and go back down the line a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's show you what's coming into Thomaston and Butler. Go ahead and scroll down, follow this line. So Forsyth back toward Thomaston into Columbus. Notice there's no warnings on this right now. We like to see that, especially the energy that these storms had moving through Alabama was very concerning as they moved off to the east and moved into Macon, Warner Robins, and Perry. We're watching that down the line, but again, the storms out ahead of this helped work over the atmosphere a little bit. Sometimes you get enhancement from those initial storms. You could see wind shifting for a more favorable system, but right now we are warning free from Thomaston off to the south, southwest Georgia near Albany. We have another warning or two, but those are across state lines right now. But let's go back to this tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning that we just had. You could look at that clear area of rotation with that storm. Pull up velocity data. Rear flank downdraft definitely showing up. Big area of circulation moving toward the Worthville and Stewart area as those storms continue to move off to the north and east as well. Those storms are going to be moving into Eatonton, moving into Forsyth right now. Andrew, you might want to let your wife know storms are knocking on the door if they're not already at the house. But we'll watch for areas of circulation continuing to develop with this. So not in the clear yet. Zoom out a little bit, Ryan. So Jackson, this is going to be off to the north of you. We'll likely see a new issuance of this severe thunderstorm or tornado warning off to the north. with that system as well. So, Ryan, let's go over to you. Let's get an update from you and see what the
Okay.
National Weather Service is saying. Any confirmation of damage
Yeah.
as that area of rotation moves through?
They have been reporting outages in Henry County. They said they have 2,500 outages right now. They're actually, I think the latest one just said 4,700 plus are without power from the storm that is moving on through. We still have the tornado warning that's out until 5:15 p.m., but they're probably about to be updating the polygon and moving it farther to the north and east as it is starting to exit out of the polygon area. And we are still keeping an eye on, but there has been several outages right now. They're reporting outages in Upson County as well. For down power lines and power outages that have been moving along the road as well with these very strong winds, especially for the storms that have been moving on through. So just taking a wider view of this once again, we still have the tornado warning out for Butts County really for us until 5:15 p.m., but this is still extending into Henry, Newton, and Spalding counties as well. But it is quickly moving off to the north and east. I think it's probably still moving around 60 or so miles per hour, 65 miles per hour is what it was when it was first put out there like that. So it is still very strong. If we're looking back here on our Doppler winds, really starting to see the area of rotation starting to exit into the region, but this is moving quickly off to the north and east. Just look how fast it has moved over the past 30 minutes or so. This was around maybe 4:45. It was all the way down here near Locust Grove. And now in about 10 minutes, it's already heading up quickly out of the polygon area, right around across State Route 36 right now, and continuing to move east towards Newborn, again, right kind of along the border of Butts County as well. That is still moving very quickly to the north and east. I think they actually just updated and they just extended that last tornado warning right there. They just did that, yes. Now, so this is the second warning now, since it has started to move out of the initial polygon. Now it's extending into parts of Jasper County and very grazingly touching Putnam County as well. Quickly moving off to the north and east. This is at 55 miles per hour now. Now, this does not have confirmation on the ground anymore, but still radar indicated from all the rotation that is in the atmosphere. And so they did reissue a new polygon area for the storm that is still moving through this area. So if you are in towards, let's look exactly where the area of rotation could be. Still looking at this area right here, heading right towards Newborn, south of Maxwell and Farfar. And this is right here. This is what we kind of want to see. We have the bright greens right next to those bright reds, moving quickly off to the north and east. State Route 11 about to move over you. If you are in this area, you will want to take shelters, get as far away from the outdoors as possible into an interior room of your home, a bathroom, a closet. This is quickly moving off to the north and east. Incredibly strong winds out there. Let's see if we can get some gate-to-gate shear. Still about 19 miles per hour, moving in opposite directions at this point exactly. Let's see if we can get a bit of a stronger one. 23 up here, 13. So still seeing the areas of rotation. This isn't confirmed to be on the ground anymore, but it still is radar indicated. Could be still seeing some of that rotation and come down from the cloud if it isn't on the ground at this time. But we are still keeping a very close eye on this. Still seeing some of the shear. It is a little delayed, but still it's going to be continuing to move off here from the north and east. So let's track this out for you over the next 15 minutes or so as this system continues to move up very quickly. How is this system moving very quickly up to the north and east like this? So we're going to track this right up here to the north and east. Over the next 15 minutes, it's impacting Newborn, still getting parts of Putnam County as well. And this still does extend for Jasper and Putnam counties as well. But this is moving up to the north and east. There's the latest radar for us. We can look back at the velocity graphics. Still seeing quite a bit of rotation start to pop up right here. Very grazing to get into Jasper County, right along the border right here. Still heading up towards Newborn, though, and up towards State Route 11 over the next 15 minutes or so. And this is moving quite quickly around 55 miles per hour. So very quickly moving up to the north and east as we are getting ready for more of this to extend further. Again, this is parts of Jasper and Putnam counties right along the northern edge of that. But here's our storm right here. We're heading straight towards Newborn. Going to be impacting State Route 11, getting up towards that way. If you are in this area, northwestern portions of Jasper County, you will want to take cover, get into the interior rooms of your home, away from windows and borders, or away from windows and doors, and stay as far away from the outdoor as you can as possible for us. So this, again, getting a wider view altogether. This latest warning is out till 5:30 now as this continues to move quickly off to the north and east. They still do have the tornado warning down here, so I'm not giving the all clear yet for Butts County as well, but this is quickly moving to the north and east at about 55 miles per hour for you. And this goes until 5:30 for us. Eric, are we just going to be continuing as we head into 5 o'clock here?
Yeah, that's kind of the game plan that we were just working all of the logistics out. So we have a tornado warning in our area, so we're going to continue with this tornado warning until that tornado warning is allowed to expire or a new one is issued. But we're going to be very, very weather heavy over the next hour and a half at least until these storms are out of our area. But as Ryan mentioned, things are looking better down the line, but up to this is just a massive area of embedded circulation moving just north of Jackson, just north of Monticello, and really hugging our viewing area. So again, we're going to stay with this as it moves off to the north and east. As we showed earlier with the storm in Griffin, had a new area of circulation develop just to the south and east of it, and that did some damage. Radar indicating that damage there just to the south and east of Griffin as that new tornado warning was issued, heading up toward the Jackson area. So let's go ahead and let's clear the warnings and stuff off, Ryan. There you go. And so here's Butts County. The area of circulation is now moving off to the north and east. That's why they issued that new warning. Throw up velocity data. There's the area of circulation that we've been watching. And so this is moving out of Butts County. You are still underneath that tornado warning, but where this storm is located right now, I'm going to go ahead and say you're in the all clear in Butts County right now from this area of circulation. Still have some storms in the area that extend a little bit further south down toward Forsyth as well. But it's 5 o'clock now. You're watching WGXA News at 5, and we're going to continue to stay with the storm threat and tornado warning that we have issued in our area. Storm relative velocity, Ryan, throw that up. We'll see what that shows. And that's what we're seeing here, that area of circulation. And that's going to be moving off to the north and east very, very quickly with storm motion. Is new storm motion 65 still, or did they update that?
I think it's 55 as of now.
Still fast.
Yes.
So these storms are going to be moving into a less favorable environment shortly. We're also losing the daytime heating. All good news for the strength of these storms and how long we're expecting them to hold on. But not much still out ahead of this storm. And we're likely going to see this still continue to show some signs of broad rotation as this moves off to the north and east. And it is going to be moving north of Monticello here over the next 15 to 20 minutes. But Monticello, you are included in that tornado warning. Getting a new scan there, still showing some signs of rotation, but not nearly as evident as what we had just a few moments ago. So this is going to be a very active evening as those storms continue to move off to the north and east and move very quickly. Let's go ahead and do a reset, Ryan. With everybody joining us for the 5 o'clock news, we'll kind of show the big picture and show what's going on. If you want to start with the tornado watch, we can do that, and then just kind of jump into that.
Right here is the tornado
Okay,
watch.
so tornado watch, this goes until 7 o'clock. So in the next 2 hours, we're going to be seeing these storms moving through Sandersville, Wrightsville, into Dublin and Eastman. McRae, Mount Vernon, and Soperton not included in a watch just yet, but chatting with the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center, we could see another extension or potentially a new watch down the line over the rest of the evening as those storms continue to progress off to the north and east. So tornado watch until 7 o'clock. It does include most of the mid-state. Now, let's jump back to radar and kind of keep this wide view. And we'll show you where the line of storms is. So go ahead and widen out a little bit. So Forsyth, Columbus, off to the north and west, we're going to see our severe weather threat dropping pretty quickly as those storms race off to the east, northeast. And still not a ton of warnings on the tail end of this. And again, as we see a little bit more of a northeast, southwest orientation versus a north-south, that does help bring our tornado threat down a little bit. And that's kind of what we're seeing this transition to. Eventually, this is going to run into these storms, and we'll probably see a more northeast, southwest oriented line with those storms moving off to the south and east. So
It just canceled that one for Butts County.
yeah, Butts County has been allowed to expire. The tornado warning has expired in Butts County. Forsyth, the storms are rolling through your area right now, and we are going to see those move off to the south and east as well. Let's go back up to that tornado warning. And we'll take a look at velocity data with that. So that goes until 5:30, that tornado warning. But we're starting to see that radar signature not be as evident as what we saw. And I believe they took off the confirmation on that also.
They did when they issued the second polygon.
Okay, so when they issued that new tornado warning, they went ahead and let that expire, the confirmed tornado on the ground. So that tornado touched down just southeast of Griffin and did some damage, showing it on radar. A National Weather Service confirming that as well. But these storms are going to continue to move off to the north and east. There's Buckhead there, and eventually up toward Greensboro. So moving very quickly at about 55 miles per hour. So in the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to see this moving out of our area. We'll see what they do with the new severe thunderstorm warning. That went until 5:15. There's a lot of warnings right now. Yeah, 5:15 for Monticello, Forsyth, and Eatonton. And we're approaching 5:15 here very shortly. I would imagine they're going to issue a new severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of this, at least for Eatonton. Probably drop the tornado warning, but keep that severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag on that with the storm moving off to the east. So going to be moving into Eatonton very shortly. Go ahead and put a time of arrival on there, Ryan.
Right. For the whole storms?
Yeah, you can do the whole line.
Okay.
Where the severe thunderstorm warning is. So from Buckhead down to there, and then move it off. Really moving pretty much due east. So in the next hour, going to be moving into Sparta. There's some times of arrival. So Round Oak 5:08, very shortly approaching. Eatonton 5:13, Gray 5:26, Lake O at 5:30, Lake Sinclair at 5:35, Milledgeville 5:41, Sparta 5:47, Linton at 5:56, and we'll continue to move east from there. So again, moving very quickly out of our area, but eventually going to be moving toward the Sandersville area up toward Eatonton as those storms produce. This is going to kind of transition into a damaging wind threat. See if we can see that backwards C formation in the velocity data as we approach the Jeffersonville radar. So right there. So from Forsyth back up toward Monticello, this is where we're going to see the strongest of the winds. Now, the storm is moving off to the east-southeast, but that corridor of wind will likely be where the sea, or the apex of the sea is as those winds move through. You can see those brighter blues moving into Monroe County in Forsyth as well. But maybe another little notch trying to form there. Zoom in on that, Ryan. Notchy, greens and reds next to each other, especially in this type of formation, not what we like to see. So Oconee National Forest showing some potential areas of rotation as well. So throw up our shear tracker, see if that's hitting on this. It's a little bit, but again, that is a little bit delayed, moving toward Stanfordville, Oconee National Forest, and then eventually going to move into the Hallwood area. There's Eatonton, Willard, with that initial line moving through. So Ryan, let's go over to you for an update on that tornado warning as it's moving off to the northeast.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So there hasn't been any updates about whether or not they're going to cancel or keep extending the tornado warning that we still do have out right now. That's in parts of Jasper and Putnam counties right now, just grazing the northern parts. This is set in place until 5:30, and we are still keeping a close eye on this area, but the conditions have been weakening over the past 15 minutes or so. This is a radar indicated tornado, so there has not been any confirmation of this being on the ground. It's right in between two radars. So if we look at this radar right here, what we want to see on our Doppler winds is the bright reds right next to the bright greens. We've got a little bit of that right here along State Route 142, just north of Shady Dale, that there is a little bit of rotation potential that's in the atmosphere right now. And these storms are moving very quickly to the northeast, about 55 miles per hour. So over the past 10 minutes has just very quickly gone up into the northern or to the northeast. This is barely grazing Jasper County, looks to be staying up to the north, heading over towards Godfrey over the next 15 minutes or so. This is still not confirmed to be on the ground, although if you are living right into the northern portions of Jasper, right along State Route 142, get into your safe areas. You want to be away from the outside at all possible, into an interior room, no windows, no doors for us at all. You want to be staying as far away from the outside as possible as this continues to move off to the northeast for us. Still picking up on a little bit of the shear as well. The shear is that change in direction and wind speed in the atmosphere, and that could show also some rotation. Picking up a little bit also right along State Route 142 south of Newborn. This continues to move off into the northeast. You want to be taking shelter at right now until this tornado warning is ending around 5:30. There isn't any confirmation that this might get extended or not, but looks to be not seeing a lot on the debris tracker. We really want to see a big ball of the bright colors. That means we could be seeing a tornado that could be lifting things into the atmosphere. Not really seeing that from this. So looks like it's just some rotation at the moment, but it could touch down at any time. Seeing pretty broad area of rotation. Looks like there could be another tiny one of some rotation right down here just south of Shady Dale. See some of the bright reds here coupled with the bright greens. That could also be showing a little bit of the rotation that could be also in the atmosphere. Not picking up on any of the shear at that moment. Looks like there is a bit of rotation that could be high in the atmosphere, as this is a little farther away from the radar. So this might be picking up something that's farther up in the sky into the atmosphere. But right south of Shady Dale, State Route 142, State Route 83 as well, might seeing a little rotation as well. You are still included in that tornado warning as well. So definitely want to take place and take shelter if you are into this area. This is set in place until 5:30 for Jasper and Putnam counties, moving quickly off to the northeast. Quickly seeing some of that. What we want to really see is those bright greens and reds. It looks to be a broader area of the rotation still. Go back to our shear tracker once again. Not picking up a lot of shear, which is a good sign, meaning that the rotation should be on the lower end. Let me see if I switch to the other radar that's more up to the north and east. Yeah, not really seeing as much in terms of the rotation, not as easily seen. So this might be a little bit, that's quite far away again. So we'll keep it up with our Jeffersonville radar currently. Still seeing weaker areas of rotation, seeing a little bit more brighter greens again up here to the northern areas of Jasper County. It's moving kind of out of our range. Here's a brighter green near to the reds, but not seeing anything that's standing out significantly, but there is still signs of some rotation that's currently out there in the atmosphere. So again, we do have this tornado warning. Let's just kind of zoom out for you here. We got the tornado warning out for Jasper and Putnam counties. Does also include Morgan and Newton as well until 5:30, continuing to move to the northeast. And the storms are going to be continuing for the next few hours for us here. We still got a very long line of thunderstorms out to the north and west that will be moving through over the next few hours for us. Farther to the south, looks like there's not as many warnings, so that's good. But still got quite a few lightning strikes. The lightning looks to have calmed out. We had some storms earlier about 2 hours or so ago, and that looks to hopefully have calmed down these next storms that take in and out of the atmosphere, take away those ingredients as they've already been used up by the storms earlier. So hopefully that will be the case as we head towards the rest of the evening. Stay weather aware. We're not done with these storms quite yet. They'll be rolling through for the next few hours or so.
All right, Ryan, we're approaching the 5:15 mark,
Yes.
and that is when that severe thunderstorm warning is expected to expire. for good reason. The storms are moving into the Eatonton area out of Monticello. Monticello, you're all right. Jackson, you're all right. Thomaston, Forsyth still have some thunderstorms in the area. Nothing of severe caliber yet, severe criteria, but we will see some very heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, going to be loud and windy. But this severe thunderstorm warning will stay with us till 5:15 or so, and we'll see what the National Weather Service decides to do with it. That is going to be moving into Gray in Milledgeville. But as I mentioned, the north-south orientation is what we don't like to see with these lines. When the northeast-southwest orientation starts showing up, indicating the tornado potential is coming down a little bit. Definitely not zero, but will come down a little bit. And eventually, this line is going to catch up with these storms just east of Sparta. So Sandersville already seeing some of those very heavy rain showers moving through. No thunder or lightning associated with it. National Weather Service just now issuing that severe thunderstorm warning with a possible tag on it for that system. So, and allowing this severe thunderstorm warning to expire. Greg, control room, producer, if we want to start kind of transitioning over to some news coverage, we're okay to do that right now. We'll have another update coming up in just a few minutes on these storms as they continue to progress to the south and east. Did I speak too soon? Okay, we got a new warning that has just been issued, and that's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, never mind. That's in southwest Georgia.
Okay.
All right, so let's transition over to some big news of the day.
They just canceled it, yeah.
Yep, there's the tornado warning canceled. Storms moving into Eatonton right now. No severe thunderstorm warning, but some significant weather moving in. Nonetheless, heavy rain, gusty winds, and frequent lightning. Go ahead, Ryan, and show us the whole line.
Mm-hmm.
And no warnings right now moving into the middle Georgia area. So let's cover some news stories, and we'll come back with an update on our storms here in the next 10 minutes or so. For those of us joining on social media, we're going to have some news coverage coming for you as well. Greg?
Okay. Eric, thank you for that. And as Eric mentioned, we'll continue to keep a close eye on the weather, everyone, and keep you updated as we go along this evening. Turning to some local headlines, Warner Robins police are looking into a morning shooting that left a man injured. Police say this morning before 10, they received a call about two men shooting at each other on Arnold Boulevard. Investigators say that an argument between Derek Jackson and another man led to that shooting. By the time officers arrived, they found Jackson shot in the leg, and the other man, they say, had run off. Police say Jackson is in stable condition. Anyone with information on the shooting is asked to contact the Warner Robins Police Department or Crime Stoppers. We have those numbers on our website as well. And today, more details are coming to light about the shooting death of a 15-year-old boy in Macon. In an incident report that WGXA obtained from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, a deputy reported that ShotSpotter picked up on 15 rounds fired Monday night. The ShotSpotter notification came in 13 minutes after an arrest warrant says the teen was killed. The gunshot sensor detected the shots on Pinson Street, the same street where Ashton Roberts' body was found. 57-year-old Algie Bryant has been charged with the teen's murder. Bryant was living in the home that Roberts was found behind, and Bibb investigators say it was a marijuana grow house. Turning our attention now to Georgia news, Governor Brian Kemp was sworn in for a second term in office today.
The Constitution of the State of Georgia.
The Constitution of the State of Georgia.
And the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Governor Kemp.
And just like that, Governor Brian Kemp officially begins his second term as Georgia's leader. Kemp's first term was highlighted by the passing of a controversial 6-week abortion ban and raises for teachers, not to mention being put in charge of handling the state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and rising inflation. His second term will still heavily focus on inflation and recession. But this term, Kemp says he will remain focused on what he promised on the campaign trail, making sure that law enforcement has the support they need to keep communities safe, that schools have resources to address learning loss, and making sure that Georgians have the means to live, promising pay raises for state employees and teachers.
We could not have anticipated the historic challenges and the tremendous headwinds that the Peach State would face throughout my first term in office. But thanks to the character of our people and the determination of public servants and local heroes in every corner of our state, I believe now more than ever, Georgia's best days are ahead of us.
Kemp says he's also keeping an eye out for all Georgians, with plans to use billions of the state's budget surplus to give out another round of tax rebates and property tax grants. Kemp also says he aims to give single filers $250 and families $500, and the grants would give homeowners around $500 for a break on property taxes. And it didn't take long for Kemp to get into action in his new term. After taking his own oath, the governor did the same for several others. He swore in Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, along with Attorney General Chris Carr for their second terms. Also sworn in was new Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Also, Agriculture Commissioner Tyler Harper and all the other officials that won election last year. Now, next week, Kemp will be putting his promise to grow Georgia to the test as he visits Switzerland for the Davos World Economic Forum. A spokesperson for the governor said Kemp will tout the state's strong record of economic success. Kemp has previously taken trips to South Korea and Germany. Well, it's time to get your running shoes ready and work on your cardio. The Macon Half Marathon is returning this morning. Macon Tracks, Visit Macon, and Atrium Health announced the Macon Music Half Marathon, hitting the streets of Macon this November. The goal of the race isn't just to encourage the community to think about their health and get active, but the hope is to give the economy a boost with attracting new people to Macon by offering a chance to see what all the city has to offer.
It's important because we haven't had a distance race in the area. We would like to draw people from throughout the state and a larger area to see Macon and to highlight our musical and historical heritage and let them see what we have to offer.
The half marathon route is still being planned, but Macon Tracks says their vision is to have the race go by several of Macon's music and cultural landmarks. Inflation is certainly impacting businesses across the globe, but it's also having a major impact on businesses here locally. McCall Sandwiches in Warner Robins has been in business for more than 30 years, and now owner Ken McCall says his business is struggling to stay afloat due to the inflation. McCall says he's had to make several changes, from the food he serves to the paper cups that customers drink from. And biggest of all, he's had to raise prices, something McCall feels his customers don't deserve after being loyal to him for so many years.
I feel like at times we're not giving our longtime customers the service that they originally were used to, but we're doing our best to keep everyone happy.
McCall says due to the impact the inflation has had on his business, it's even hurt some families. Now, coming up, we hope to bring you Carlos Stevens' full report on how it's done that in the next half hour, of course, depending on our weather coverage. Major developments tonight from the Capitol surrounding President Biden and his mishandling of classified documents. The president trying to defend himself just as the Justice Department announced a special counsel had been assigned to investigate the matter. That after a second batch of classified documents from Biden's time as vice president was discovered in his garage in Delaware. Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman spoke to top lawmakers today about what should happen next.
Classified material next to your Corvette? What were you thinking?
President Biden facing a barrage of questions over a growing document drama after a second batch of classified papers was found in his personal garage in Delaware, as seen in this campaign video.
The Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document.
The calls getting louder after an initial discovery of classified documents located inside this private Washington, D.C. office Biden used after serving as vice president. Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing a more thorough investigation Thursday.
This appointment underscores for the public the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters.
For special counsel Robert Hur, a former U.S. attorney appointed by President Trump, plenty of questions remain. Like, who initially moved the documents to both Biden locations? Why the delay in letting the public know about these discoveries? And did the National Archives know beforehand that any files were missing?
Obviously, if this was President Trump, there would already be a raid because there was with just one batch.
Does that concern you at all?
It's very disturbing.
Speaker, Republicans are saying that they don't think they can get a fair shake out of Merrick Garland. Do you think that's a valid concern?
No.
When
No, I
did you
don't
learn
at all.
of the classified?
Critics call the timeline troubling. November 2nd, the first documents were discovered just 1 week before Election Day. The Attorney General appointed a special counsel to investigate Donald Trump's case on November 18th, 3 months after the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. But it wasn't until Monday that Biden's case was made public, and on Wednesday it was reported that a second batch was found. Republicans all too happy to highlight Biden's criticism of Trump and his documents.
How that could possibly happen, how anyone could be that irresponsible.
This is what makes America not trust their government. You cannot have one form of law because somebody philosophically has a different opinion than you.
While the cases could be vastly different, with Trump accused of ignoring a subpoena and obstructing the investigation, though the current president's predicament just beginning. On Capitol Hill, I'm Scott Thuman.
Coming up, we've got more coverage from the state's capital as the governor starts his second term. We'll take you to the swearing-in ceremony and much more later on WGXA News, and we're keeping a close eye on the weather.
Still keeping an eye on severe weather moving across middle Georgia right now. Hancock and Putnam County underneath a severe thunderstorm warning until 6 o'clock. This line of storms going to be moving into Milledgeville, moving through Eatonton and moving into Sparta here very shortly. Winds up to 60 miles an hour possible with that. Also some embedded brief spin up tornadoes that can do quite a bit of damage in just a short amount of time. That's heading towards Sparta and Milledgeville. We will be right back right after this break.
Hey, Middle Georgia, good evening, and thanks for being here for WGXA News at 5. I'm Greg Lloyd. It's a weather-worn day, and the severe weather threat wasn't just isolated to Georgia. A tornado damaged 3 mobile homes and knocked down power lines and trees in Mount Vernon, Alabama. That's about 30 miles north of Mobile. The powerful storm blew through the area shortly before 1 Central Time. The high winds took the mobile homes off their foundations and flipped one of them on its side. One person was injured and had to be cut out of her home. Debris was lifted throughout the neighborhood, and furniture from across the street and from the home was also mangled, as well as siding and trees. Children and staff in a nearby school went into the tornado wing of the school. There was no damage, though, to the schoolhouse. These images are from Morgan County, Alabama, about 30 miles from Huntsville, where storms brought major injuries and extensive damage this morning. Trees and power lines are down, and authorities are urging residents to avoid the affected area. Well, Middle Georgia, as you know, we're in the thick of it right now. It could be a rough next few hours with the storms rolling through. We're going to toss things over to Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick for the latest on the threats. Eric?
Yeah, Greg, keeping an eye on these storms rolling through. We do have a tornado watch for the areas in yellow, but wanted to bring you some good news. Off to the north and west, we are starting to see that tornado watch end a little bit early. The National Weather Service going ahead and canceling that watch for Butts County back up toward Atlanta and into Alabama as well. So these storms are going to continue to move off to the east. Ryan, let's go ahead and pull those up, and we'll show you where we have some severe thunderstorm warnings right now. So one just to the east of Columbus, one in southwest Georgia, and then one in middle Georgia as well. This is going to be primarily for Hancock and Putnam counties. That goes until 6 o'clock. So this is going to be moving into Milledgeville, into Sparta, a little bit further down the line, moving toward Sandersville as well. So, Ryan, let's go ahead and put a time on this. These storms are moving very, very quickly at about 50 miles per hour, and you could see them moving into the Sandersville area here in about 45 minutes or so, 6:13, that time of arrival. So Milledgeville, pretty much on top of you right now. Sparta, 5:43. Mayfield at 5:53, Sandersville at 6:13, Stapleton at 6:21, and going to continue to move east from there. Now, once this line goes through, this is the second line that we were talking about, the primary line, and we are going to see our severe weather threat behind this come down very, very quickly and see that tornado watch expire very quickly as well. So in another hour or so, this is going to be moving through the middle Georgia area, so we'll likely see more counties especially at 7 o'clock, allowed to see that tornado watch expire. Ryan, let's go ahead and throw up velocity. This is a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible verbiage or tag included in it. And if you look along the leading edge of these storms, you can see we do have little notches. And those little notches can become tornadoes very quickly. In this type of environment, we do have the potential for that spin up to happen, that hybrid tornado to happen very quickly. Not anything like what we had moving through the Noonan-LaGrange area where that was an embedded supercell, but these are going to be those hybrid tornadoes that just form very quickly. They don't last very long, but they can do some significant damage. So this is a line of winds going to be moving into Milledgeville right now, moving through Lake Sinclair. This warning does go until 6 o'clock. I think we're going to see it here in Sparta quicker than that, and we'll likely see a new severe thunderstorm warning issued with that. So let's go down the line. You can turn back radar. Yeah, there we go. And these storms moving through Gray, moving through Forsyth. Forsyth, the main line of the activity moving through Forsyth and almost clear of Monroe County now, but this is going to be moving into Macon-Bibb County here very shortly. Roberta starting to get noisy down toward Butler as well. And there's where we have our next severe thunderstorm warning on the line. Just a few short hour or two ago, did have that severe thunderstorm warning really issued for the entire line with tornado warnings issued along that as well. But as we see this become a little bit more east-west oriented, that does bring the tornado threat down with it a little bit. Let's just keep going all the way down into southwest Georgia, and we'll show you we do have another storm, kind of tail end Charlie here. This is the storm at the bottom of the line where it's in an open environment and going to be feeding off an environment that hasn't had any storms in it yet. So we'll be watching this storm as it traverses off to the east, but these two moving very quickly, and we'll likely see this line kind of fill out between Montezuma and Americus as well. So we'll be following this line all the way through the state as we go through the rest of the evening. Let's go back to Middle Georgia, and we'll show you where that severe thunderstorm warning for Milledgeville and Sparta is. And if you're in Sparta, it's going to get noisy here very, very quickly. In about 10 minutes or so, we'll see that move into Sparta. Milledgeville really moving into your area right now, and in gray, you're kind of in the thick of it. You're in the worst of the storms that you're probably going to see through the rest of the evening. So we'll be continuing to keep an eye on this through the remainder of the evening. And of course, if we have one of those tornadoes spin up, we'll be right here. We'll jump on and we'll give you as much of a heads up as possible. But these storms moving into Sparta, going to eventually move into Sandersville as we head through the remainder of the evening. So we'll be watching this closely through the rest of the evening, and they should be wrapping up before the overnight period and weekend as those storms move off to the south and east. So Greg, let's get a check of a few more news stories, and we'll keep an eye on this weather.
The Constitution of the State of Georgia.
The Constitution of the State of Georgia.
And the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Governor Kemp.
And just like that, Governor Brian Kemp officially begins his second term as Georgia's leader. Kemp's first term was highlighted by the passing of the controversial 6-week abortion ban and raises for teachers, not to mention being put in charge of handling the state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and rising inflation. His second term will still heavily focus on inflation and recession, but this term, Kemp says he will remain focused on what he promised on the campaign trail, making sure law enforcement has the support they need to keep communities safe, that schools have the resources to address learning loss, and making sure that Georgians have the means to live, promising pay raises for state employees and teachers.
We will keep our foot on the gas by bringing good paying jobs and greater opportunity to every corner of the Peach State. We will ensure that our kids have the resources they need to overcome learning loss and find success in the classroom.
Kemp says he's also keeping an eye out for all Georgians, with plans to use billions of the state's budget surplus to give out another round of tax rebates and property tax grants. Kemp says he aims to give single filers $250, $500 for families, and the grants would give homeowners around $500 for a break on property taxes.
And another quick update on these storms as they move into Middle Georgia right now. That severe thunderstorm warning north and east of Macon is the only severe thunderstorm we have in Macon right now. But we do have another one knocking on the door to our south and west for our south and western counties as well. So this knocking on the door in Sparta, Putnam, and Hancock County, this goes until 6 o'clock. And we're going to see a new severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to be down for Butler. Let's go down to Butler real quick. That's for that storm that was moving through Columbus. This is going to be moving into Butler, eventually toward Montezuma, Perry, and Warner Robins. And that's going to be severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag associated with that. So heading toward Butler, and that will be packing a pretty good punch. Moving through the Mauk area right now, looking further down the line, Fort Valley, Marshallville, this line of storms coming our way in the next half hour to 45 minutes. So going to get noisy, going to get loud, and we'll have the potential for those severe thunderstorms and even a brief spin up associated with it. We'll be here keeping a close eye on these storms as they roll through Middle Georgia, and we'll have more coming up in just a few minutes.
Events tonight from the Capitol surrounding President Biden and his mishandling of classified documents. Attorney General Merrick Garland is appointing a special counsel to look into those classified documents. The White House says they'll cooperate, but it's a legal and political headache for the president as he gears up for a possible 2024 re-election bid. Madeline Rivera reports tonight from Washington.
The President of the United States is now the subject of an investigation. The Justice Department says it was forced to act after classified documents were found in unsecure locations, including the president's garage in Delaware.
It was in the public interest to appoint a special counsel.
Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Robert Hur to investigate President Biden's handling of classified documents.
I take classified documents and classified material seriously.
The White House admits sensitive government documents were found dating back to President Biden's time as vice president. One sat at his home in Wilmington, Delaware, some in the garage.
Classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
My Corvette's in a locked garage. Okay, so it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
And another batch found at his former office in Washington, D.C. The DOJ was under pressure to act, especially from Republicans, after Garland appointed a special counsel to look into former President Trump's possible mishandling of classified documents. But Democrats say the two cases are different.
What I would say is that the president has been moving with cooperation.
The president's team says the National Archives and the Justice Department were alerted after their discovery. Former President Trump's home was searched by the FBI after the feds say Trump and his aides resisted handing over records.
I hear from so many constituents is this double standard and the fact that there's no longer equal treatment under the law.
Possible legal trouble for President Biden or former President Trump could create a political headache.
Both of them essentially are candidates in the 2024 election. So this has tremendous ramifications in terms of the politics.
The White House says they think this review will show the documents were inadvertently misplaced, and the president acted promptly upon discovering the mistake. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, WGXA News.
Thank you, Madeline. It's been a hectic day for the Mid-State with several storms rolling in. After the break, Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick, along with Ryan Miranda, will have more on the developing storm threat facing the Mid-State.
Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist, and we're looking at a new severe thunderstorm warning. This does include Sparta with those storms moving in right now. That's going to be for Hancock County until 6:30. These storms moving off to the east at 50 miles per hour. Now, the good news is this doesn't extend any farther south right now, but into Milledgeville and Gray, still seeing some of those strong thunderstorms moving through your area. Let's clear this up, Ryan, and we'll show you velocity data, show you exactly where our concern is. And you can see that leading edge kind of showing a little bit of notchiness, we'll call it. That's where we have those little appendages with just the right wind. We can see a hybrid tornado happen very quickly and do quite a bit of damage. And it typically happens on the north side of the backward sea. So right about there, could see that area of circulation moving through. New severe thunderstorm warning for Southwest Georgia. This is going to be moving through the Sparta area very quickly and back down toward Lake Sinclair as well. Let's go ahead and we'll show you where these storms are. White Plains down towards Sparta into Lake Sinclair is where those storms are right now. Let's go ahead and follow this line right down, Ryan, and we'll take you into Milledgeville and then eventually Gray and then into Macon as well. So new severe thunderstorm warning for Sparta. Milledgeville, you're still underneath that severe thunderstorm warning until 6 o'clock. We'll see if the National Weather Service decides to extend that. But let's go down into Macon-Bibb County. Here's some thunder and lightning here at the station with some heavy rainfall starting to come down. Roberta back toward Butler, Macon, Marion, Schley, and Taylor counties until 6:15. That's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible. Really kind of what we're going to see the rest of the evening is if we have a severe thunderstorm warning, that's likely going to come with that severe thunderstorm warning tag on tornado possible. So treat these as a little bit elevated of that severe thunderstorm warning. And we're going to see that continue to move off to the east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour as well. So new extension on that severe thunderstorm warning. Ryan, if we can go down a little bit, this is going to be for Americus into Cordele. This storm has a similar shape and structure to the one we had moving through the Butts County area. And that is going to be moving just south of Americus over toward Cordele. So Crisp, Dooley, and Sumter counties, new severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30. Looking at an area of rotation embedded in a area of thunderstorms, could be an embedded supercell, if you will, and that is going to continue to move northeast a little bit, and going to be moving through Dawson into Leesburg and eventually up toward Cordele and into Americus as well. So these storms capable of packing a punch, and we mentioned this storm in the last update, moving off to the east, northeast, a little bit different storm motion than the storms in Middle Georgia right now. Ryan, let's go back into the line just to the north of us with that other severe thunderstorm warning, and we can take those off and show you. This line will eventually fill in. So Butler down toward Montezuma and that storm out ahead of it, that's one we're going to be watching in particular. But any of these notches that we see in this line could produce a spin-up tornado very quickly, and will have the possibility of doing some significant damage as well. So something to watch as we head through the rest of the evening. Still tracking several severe thunderstorm warnings in Middle Georgia right now. So 3 severe thunderstorm warnings, all with the potential of a hybrid tornado coming very, very quickly. Right in Bibb County, Macon-Bibb, we're seeing some very heavy rainfall, some of that thunder and lightning coming down as well. But that storm moving into Sparta, severe thunderstorm warning associated with that. From Sparta, Milledgeville into Macon, down toward Butler. And that was just a reissuance of that warning. So we're going to be watching these storms all evening. They are moving very quickly. Ryan, let's go ahead. You can, if you just want to do a distance from Macon to Wrightsville, or you can put a storm track on it. Just show when this is going to be moving into Wrightsville, Dublin, and Soperton as well. So these storms are going to likely continue to hold their strength as well, though. So another hour or so with these storms. These storms are, that is this one right here. That's the cone of silence over the radar dome. That's where the radar is located, and the radar doesn't shoot straight up, so you don't see anything there. But these storms are going to be moving right over Jeffersonville and then eventually towards Soperton and moving 50 to 60 miles an hour. So we'll be watching these storms rolling through Gordon at 6:05, McIntyre at 6:17, Toomsboro at 6:26, Chapels Mills at 6:38. We'll keep an eye on these storms, but we're going to get another check on the news desk with Greg.
Eric, thank you. Great job to you and Ryan. Inflation is impacting business across the globe, but it's also having a major impact on businesses here locally. McCall Sandwiches has been in business for more than 30 years, but as Carlos Stevens tells us tonight, like other businesses, they've had to make some hard decisions to keep their doors open.
Owner Ken McCall says due to the inflation, he's had to make some unfortunate decisions that have affected families in the process.
We're running with probably 3 less people than I did pre-COVID.
McCall says while it's never ideal laying people off, he has to keep the doors open. He says that's not the only change he's had to make.
With paper goods, paper products, things like that. We've got 3 different brands that I keep in stock just depending on what's available for that week or that month.
McCall says while it's been a struggle to stay afloat, there's one important ingredient that has probably kept him going besides the customers.
Godsend for me is that I purchased this building 20 years ago. And so I don't have that overhead.
But he says there's other things that do hang over your head as a business owner.
You know, you still have insurance and utilities and that sort of stuff.
McCall says while he hopes to see things become more stabilized in the future, in the meantime, he's encouraging every business owner to do one thing if you want to keep your doors open through inflation.
Learn where every penny goes.
All right, the storm threat continues, and Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick will have more about that when we come back. Mercer Education students took a field trip back to the past as they toured around several Bibb County schools today. The tours are part of a partnership between the university and school system to give education students hands-on experience in the classroom.
Our hope is that the students will be reinvigorated and their love for education will just be reaffirmed. And we also hope that they see the great things that we have to offer here in Bibb County, and that they consider us when they graduate to come back and teach in our district.
Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick taking a look at our severe weather rolling into Middle Georgia. You can see this one warning moving through the Sparta area. The storm's passing through Sparta and expected to move into Augusta. And as they do so, expecting that severe weather threat to come down a little bit. Look at all of the lightning clustered right over Forsyth, Monroe County, into Macon-Bibb, back toward Crawford County, and then extending all the way back toward Columbus and into Southwest Georgia, looking at some severe weather going on there as well. Ryan, let's go ahead and we'll make stops at all of these. I guess we'll do that in just a minute. But severe thunderstorm warning 1, 2, and 3. This is going to be moving toward Cordele, Crisp, Dooley, and Sumter County until 6:30. Going to be dealing with some of these storms moving in very quickly, very quick moving storms, but eventually we're going to see this line kind of merge as this is moving off to the north and east, and these are moving eastward. We'll have more on these storms throughout the rest of the evening as it warrants.
Live from downtown Macon, this is WGXA News at 6.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for watching WGXA News at 6. I'm Greg Lloyd. Okay, everybody, well, buckle up. It is a rough next few hours as storms are rolling through the mid-state, but we've got you covered. In fact, Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick's here, Meteorologist Ryan Mirando. They're tracking the latest threats. Eric?
Yeah, Greg, we're keeping a close eye on it. Got meteorologist Ryan Mirando helping out with running radar, doing a great job. But we are watching 3 different severe thunderstorm warnings here in Middle Georgia. Let's start at the far north one, Ryan, and show you this one moving through the Sparta area. Moving out of Hancock County pretty quickly. This warning does expire in 30 minutes, and you can see how far east that warning does go, moving into Gibson as well. So now let's just follow the line down. Milledgeville in the thick of it, dealing with some of the strongest storms that you're going to see through the rest of the evening. A little bit of lightning associated with it, but the bulk of the lightning from Gray down into Macon-Bibb, back toward Forsyth. Forsyth, you are on a very low severe weather threat watch right now, generally along this line. So Roberta, Macon, up toward Milledgeville, off to the southeast, Warner Robins, Jeffersonville, Danville, McIntyre, up towards Sandersville. Still dealing with that severe weather threat. Tornado watch does go until 7 o'clock for all of Middle Georgia. We'll see if they continue to keep that, if they expand it, if they make any tweaks. We'll be keeping you up to date on that. So next severe thunderstorm warning, Macon County, Marion, Schley, and Taylor County. This goes until 6:15, but we're starting to see the lead edge approaching that eastward edge of that polygon as well. So this is going to be moving into Warner Robins. Ryan, let's go ahead and put a track on that as it moves into Warner Robins, moving off to the east, I think around 40 to 45 miles per hour. So still a very quick moving storm. Still have a lot of ground to go before these severe storms move out of the area. But taking a look at that motion east-southeast. So Perry, looking at 619. And we're going to see those storms moving into Marshallville, eventually into Royal and Tavernsville there's Danville and down toward Eastman in more than an hour or so. Let's go down the line and we'll just follow this into our next severe thunderstorm warning. That is going to be moving into Cordele, Americus, and this severe thunderstorm warning does go until 6:30. Crisp, Dooley, and Sumter County. Ryan, let's go ahead and show velocity data on this. This one did have some pretty impressive signs of rotation as it crossed the state line, with a tornado warning or two issued for this, but still an area of rotation just to the north and west of Smithville, down south and west of Americus, as those storms continue to track off to the north and east. Let's switch it back to radar. They're going to start to interact with this line back toward Ellaville and back up toward Montezuma, and then it'll eventually line out. But this storm out ahead of the main line, feeding into all the available energy in the atmosphere that we do have right now and where the storm is heading. So let's reset. We'll show you the big picture and show you where these storms are right now and where they're headed. So let's go ahead and just put a big line on this, Ryan, from Sparta down into Maker and back toward Montezuma and Americus, and then we'll draw that pretty much due east. So over the next hour and a half or so, moving into Dublin, Rochelle, Cochrane, all in the line of these storms. Dublin around 7:08, Cochrane around 6:52, Unadilla around 6:38, Sandersville 6:29, Jeffersonville 6:23 as those storms continue to move to the east. We'll talk about that tornado watch that is in place right now until 7 o'clock coming up in just a few minutes.
You and Ryan, make sure you stay in the know on the storm threats. Just download the WGXA weather app now, as our Storm Watch team, it keeps you updated on where these storms are heading, and you can plan ahead. To local crime tonight, and Warner Robins police are looking into a morning shooting that left one man injured. And according to officers, just before 10 this morning, they received calls about two men shooting at each other on Arnold Boulevard. Investigators say that an argument between Derek Jackson and another man led to that shooting. By the time officers arrived, they found Jackson shot in the leg while the other man had run off.
The initial reports that there were two males shooting at each other. We do currently have one victim that was transported to Atrium Navicent with a gunshot wound to the leg, and it is an ongoing investigation at this point.
Jackson is in stable condition. Anyone with information on the shootings is asked to contact the Warner Robins Police Department or Crime Stoppers at the numbers you see on your screen. And today, more details coming to light about the shooting death of a 15-year-old boy in Macon. In an incident report WGXA obtained from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, a deputy reported that ShotSpotter picked up on 15 rounds fired Monday night. Now, that's the electronic notification system about shots fired that the county purchased. The notification came in 13 minutes after an arrest warrant says the teen was killed. The gunshot sensor detected the shots on Pinson Street, the same street Ashton Roberts' body was found on. 57-year-old Algie Bryant has been charged with the teen's murder. Bryant was living in the home that Roberts' body was found behind. Bibb investigators say that it's a marijuana grow house.
The Constitution of the State of Georgia.
The Constitution of the State of Georgia.
And the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Governor Kemp.
Governor Brian Kemp officially begins his second term as Georgia's leader. Kemp's first term was highlighted by the passing of that controversial 6-week abortion ban and raises for teachers, not to mention being put in charge of handling the state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and rising inflation. His second term will still heavily focus on inflation and recession. This term, Kemp says he will remain focused on what he promised on the campaign trail, making sure law enforcement has the support they need to keep communities safe. Schools have the resources to address learning losses, and making sure that Georgians have the means to live, promising pay raises for teachers and state employees.
We will keep our foot on the gas by bringing good paying jobs and greater opportunity to every corner of the Peach State. We will ensure that our kids have the resources they need to overcome learning loss and find success in the classroom.
Kemp says he's also keeping an eye out for all Georgians with plans to use billions of the state's surplus budget for another round of tax and property rebates. Kemp says he aims to give single filers $250, families $500, and the grants would give homeowners about $500 for a break on their property taxes. It didn't take long, though, for Kemp to get into action in his new term. After he took his oath, the governor did the same for several others. He swore in Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, also sworn in today Attorney General Chris Carr, their second terms as well. Also sworn in new Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, along with Agriculture Commissioner Tyler Harper and all the other officials that won election last year. And next week, Kemp will be putting his promise to grow Georgia to the test as he visits Switzerland for the Davos World Economic Forum. A spokesperson for the governor said Kemp will tout the state's strong record of economic success. Kemp has previously taken trips to South Korea and Germany. The new Georgia Assembly is in session, and advocates are calling foul on the new rules passed by the House and Senate. First Amendment advocates are concerned that both chambers pass measures granting legislative privilege for communications between lawmakers and third parties. That's on top of General Assembly already exempting itself from the Open Records Act. Advocates say the rules could make lawmakers essentially no longer accountable for what they say and restricts the public's right to know. But Majority Leader, he says that the new rule allows lawmakers to talk with experts on issues they may have questions on. The delay goes on for the startup of a Georgia nuclear plant. Georgia Power announced that a vibrating pipe in the reactor's cooling system is to blame for the new delay. The utility said that the problem was not a safety issue. Plant Vogel near Waynesboro was scheduled to go online sometime in March. That's been pushed to April now. Southern Nuclear Operating Company, which runs the plant for the owner, says they'll need to get approval from the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission for modification. The delay is expected to cost the owners $30 million. Reactors 1 and 2 at the plant are already online, and a fourth is being built.
Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick. Let's take a look at our thunderstorms moving through the Sparta area. So here's Sparta. Here's the line of storms. And I want you to take note in the different color that we have here between these two severe thunderstorm warnings. This lighter shade of yellow indicating, or lighter shade of orange, I guess you could say, is just a regular severe thunderstorm warning. No tornado tag associated with that. But as we look at the darker orange there, still a tornado possible tag with that. But those storms are moving through the Sparta area. Ryan, let's go ahead and we'll walk down the line and kind of look at these storms. So here's Sparta, here's Milledgeville, here's Gray, here's Macon, into Roberta, Warner Robins. Look at all of the very, very heavy rainfall coming down in the area. We could start to see this kind of transition into a flash flooding threat. I wouldn't be surprised if there's water over roadways and, some creeks and rivers starting to overspill their banks. This rain is coming down very, very heavy, and this is going to include Milledgeville, Gray, back toward Macon, into Roberta, and we'll follow this down. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning. This goes until 6:15, so another 5 minutes or so, but this storm kind of outrunning its warning already. Macon, Marion, Schley, and Taylor County until 6:15, that warning. But I think the strongest of those, of this area is going to be in the Roberta area heading right toward Warner Robins. Throw up velocity data on this, Ryan. And you can see a pocket of some very strong winds near the Roberta area, moving toward Fort Valley and eventually over toward Byron and Warner Robins. Velocity data there pinging those winds at about 50 miles per hour. And that's pretty close to radar. So could see that become ground truth or verify on the ground here as those storms move east. But 60 miles an hour is severe thunderstorm criteria. But you can see kind of those notches in that velocity data that we were just looking at there. And that's where we could see those hybrid tornadoes developing. Butler, you're starting to see things let up a little bit. You're going to be out of the severe weather threat here very shortly. As we go down toward Montezuma, and we'll follow this line down to the south a little bit, Americus, very strong storm moving into Crisp, Dooley, and Sumter County. Right now, that goes until 6:30. This is going to be moving toward Cordele into Unadilla. This is kind of moving a little bit more north than it is east, while the other storms are kind of moving more east, maybe even a little bit southeast as well. But you can see that storm motion there starting to pick up in intensity as it moves toward Cordele. Eventually, this is going to move into Abbeville. So if you're in Abbeville, Eastman, McRae, those areas, get ready for some very loud, noisy, and potentially dangerous conditions in the next half hour to 45 minutes as the storms move in. Let's go ahead and show that velocity data once again, Ryan. And there's the broad area of rotation associated with that just north of Smith Mills, south of Americus, moving toward Cordele, the I-75 corridor as well. So let's reset and we'll show you where the whole line is as a whole and where we're expecting this to go. So moving very quickly off to the east-southeast, 50 to 55 miles per hour, even some individual storm motions today, upward of 65 miles per hour. That is going to move again into Sandersville here shortly, Wrightsville and Dublin, as well as Eastman. So we got about another hour and a half or 2 hours for this system to move through Eastman and into Dublin. But those storms are eventually going to make it. And you can kind of see this line starting to fill in a little bit right here near Montezuma. And I expect this line to kind of just connect and become one big line as it moves toward Cordele, Cochrane, and Eastman. So as the merge of that individual storm here interacts with this main line, we could see some enhanced rotation. So we'll be watching that closely when that happens, but generally looking at this line diving off to the south and east as well. So the active weather will continue, and we'll have another check of this coming up right after the break. Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick, still tracking severe storms moving through Middle Georgia at this point. Coming up on the 6:15 mark, and we're starting to see some of these severe thunderstorm warnings allowed to expire. The one up in Hancock County, that has moved out. The one moving into Schley and Macon and Marion County has been allowed to expire. We like when we see these storms allowed to expire. And then one storm in particular that we are watching and I'm most concerned about is this batch of activity. This is going to be an embedded. Okay, new severe thunderstorm warning for Middle Georgia. Let's head up to that. But we are watching this storm moving toward Americus and Cordele. This storm is kind of out ahead of the main line and has more ingredients that could tap into, and could see that become more than a severe thunderstorm warning in the next little bit. Let's go to that new warning. Folks in Macon, Bibb County right now, I'm sure the phones are sounding. We're sending push alerts. So if you have our app, you will get that information that severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. That goes until 7 o'clock, includes Macon, Bibb, Houston, Twiggs, and Wilkinson County. Here's the line that we are concerned with. And Ryan, let's throw up velocity data. We're going to get a pretty good picture of velocity data as those storms approach the radar very quickly. And not seeing anything that jumps out at me. Maybe down here, this looks a little notchy, just north of Warner Robins into Byron, just south of the Macon Airport. There's Robins Air Force Base. So this area in particular could see a little enhancement going on as well. So Ryan, let's go ahead and show up our shear tracker. We'll see if that's showing anything. Okay, a little bit back here. Again, this is a little delayed. So right in that area that I was talking about just a few radar scans ago, showing some signs of rotation. But let's jump back to velocity data here. And I mean, we can kind of track this whole line up if we need to, but there's that area that's kind of filling in a little bit, but could show some signs of rotation. So green is in and red is away. Green winds are moving toward the radar, which is back here, and green is moving into the radar. So here and here. So that's kind of where you have that potential area of rotation. Same warning, just coming and getting again to meet. But this line will be moving off to the east. Did we moving 60? No, that's 60 mile an hour winds possible. I would imagine these storm motions are still 40 to 50 miles per hour. So there's Jeffersonville, Danville, back up toward Dry Branch, kind of in the thick of things right now. Let's go back up to Macon, or just expand this a little bit. And we'll show you where these storms are. Velocity data does a good job of showing us where the rotation area could be, but take a look at all of this rain that is going to come down. So Dry Branch back toward Macon, even toward Bolingbroke, still seeing some very heavy rainfall. Lozella down toward Fort Valley, and this severe thunderstorm warning does go until 7 o'clock. So we'll be keeping a close eye on these storms as they continue to move to the east, and we'll give you another update here coming up in just a bit.
Mercer education students took a field trip back to the past as they toured several Bibb County schools today. Those tours are part of a partnership between the university and school system to give education students experience in the classroom.
Our hope is that the students will be reinvigorated and their love for education will just be reaffirmed. And we also hope that they see the great things that we have to offer here in Bibb County and that they consider us when they graduate to come back and teach in our district.
That's really cool. Well, keep up with our top stories and more by downloading the free WGXA News app. We'll be right back.
Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick. New severe thunderstorm warning issued, and this is going to be for Crisp, Dooley, Pulaski, and Wilcox counties. Cordele moving toward Abbeville and Eastman. This is the one that I was just talking about moments ago. This does go until 6:45, so we're starting to see these warnings shortened in duration because these storms are moving so quickly, but a broad area of rotation is moving into the Cordele, I-75, Unadilla area, and we'll be watching these storms progress off to the east as we go through the next several hours. Still going to be another 2 or 3 hours before these storms clear our market and clear the state, and where we can give the all clear to anybody watching. But 6:30, the severe thunderstorm warning does go until that we're currently in, but a new one until 6:45. Let's go up the line, Ryan, and we'll talk about the other severe thunderstorm warning that we have right now. This is going to be for Macon, Bibb, Houston, Twiggs, and Wilkinson County. Warner Robins up toward Macon, into McIntyre, up toward Milledgeville and Sandersville. So these storms moving into the Sandersville area here very shortly, and we're going to see some very strong winds. Isolated tornadoes will be possible along the leading edge of this. Ryan, let's go ahead and throw up velocity data on this, and we can kind of maybe pick out 1 or 2 areas of rotation, but very linear feature right now along the leading edge of this storm. Again, maybe toward Warner Robins and Bon Air, a little bit of a hook or notchiness going on there, where we could potentially see an area of circulation spin up. But as this becomes a little bit more northeast, southwest oriented, and eventually east-west oriented, we will see that tornado threat and severe weather threat coming down a little bit. Now, one thing to note, one thing to keep in mind is areas in eastern and southeastern portions of the state don't have as many ingredients in place that we have here in middle Georgia as these storms are moving through right now. So as it does that, we're expecting the severe weather threat to come down a little bit. So we'll be watching this very closely as those storms move off to the east. Ryan, let's go back to the big picture. And even if you want, you can throw up that tornado watch box, and we'll show you who's still underneath that tornado watch. This does go until 7 o'clock. I would imagine they're going to have to extend the time on this a little bit for our far eastern counties, but it's going to be pretty close to moving through Eastman, Dublin, Wrightsville in the next half hour to 45 minutes. So we'll be talking with the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center to see what they decide to do with this. But tornado watch still in place over all of middle Georgia and most of southwest Georgia as well. So again, environment less favorable. Soperton, McRae, Eastman as well. So we'll be watching that. Let's go back to Radar, Ryan, and we'll show you a big picture where all of these storms are currently and where they are heading. And these are going to be moving toward Jeffersonville, Danville, Dublin, moving pretty much east. And then we do have this one in particular, really supercell thunderstorm out ahead of the main line that will eventually become part of the line. It'll become a linear feature, and that will take our severe weather threat down a little bit with it as well. So over the next hour and a half, these are going to be moving through the I-75 corridor over toward Dublin and eventually out of the state of Georgia. But we will be keeping a close eye on it, and we will have updates periodically as we go through the rest of the evening.